Hi everybody!
Tekken 8 is clearly the king of modern 3D fighting games. However, for everything it does well, there are a few things that could be improved. One of the improvements the game 100% needs is an overhaul to its ranked play. Specifically, it needs to remove special style from ranked. Now, before anyone goes off calling me a goddamned gatekeeper, I actually have no issue with special style or modern controls to an extent. I understand they're literally training wheels for people who are brand new to fighting games, and that's a great thing. I'm actually always happy when fighting games are made somewhat more accessible to more casual crowds, as you never know, the casual of today might be the next Justin Wong, or they could be the next FGC content creator sitting in their basement struggling with insomnia.
Oops, I'm breaking the fourth wall.
Anyways, lack of sleep rambling aside, Bandai-Namco really need to ban special style in ranked. Here are the reasons why. So for point number 1, it's incredibly frustrating to deal with. I know someone will come into the comments saying get good scrub. Admittedly, this can be the case in a lot of instances in fighting games, you just have to get good. In some ways, this is what's keeping fighting games a very niche community. Veterans who do nothing but bitch and complain about how they just had to get good if they wanted to have fun with fighting games. It's like they're old men yelling at clouds. But here's the thing, they are right to an extent. Let me explain why. In my experience, the people using special style in ranked matches tend to be either on shitty Wi-Fi connections, or they're using lag switchers, which, either way, is some poor sportsmanship. Almost as bad as goons were back in my youth, when hockey was actually fun to watch.
Just like football was so much more fun to watch back when I played it, back when you could literally, at any moment, see the nastiest hit in history, like this one.
Tailback, Reeves swings it out to Bush, and the ball is knocked away, and it is...
Yeah, so, I get it, I can relate to this.
Unlike hockey though, fighting games aren't so fun to watch when someone is using special style, because it's literally the game deciding what move to use for the player based off the current situation. There is basically no thought to it, just mindless button pressing. And that's one of the joys of fighting games, the considered use of tactics to get inside your opponent's head. It's something that I really struggled with in my early days as a fighting game player. It's something I'm still working on improving, though one of my mind games is to babble at my opponent and try to have a real conversation with them, which is something my editors have been on the receiving end of.
And it drives me up the fucking wall. Like, look, when we are competing, okay, even if it's just in a friendly sort of way, when we are playing a game, 1v1, trying to compete, I am not trying to talk to you while I'm trying to beat your ass, okay? And this dude is trying to have full-on conversations. It drives me nuts. Absolutely drives me nuts.
That tactic is almost as annoying as someone using special style in a competitive match. But special style really has a special place in hell when used in this way. It either shows a deliberate lack of knowledge on the game, or it's incredibly disrespectful to the opponent. In a few matches, I've actually had people switch to special style after they started beating me badly. Now, I know I'm not the best Tekken player, I'm not even that good of an FGC player, I just enjoy fighting games and building a community of people who are below average to roughly average. So I know I will occasionally run across a player who's absolutely going to destroy me when it comes to ranked. However, when a far better player switches to special style, it's literally them saying, "You suck, and I'm going to prove it by having the game decide my moves for me, as you're not worthy of my time." If this is someone's first real experience with the FGC, this will be demoralizing. For someone like me, who's roughly average, it's a big slap in the face and a huge fuck you. Let's be real, if you're starting out in fighting games, you really shouldn't be playing ranked, because you're going to get your ass kicked, which won't be a fun time, and then you'll more than likely quit playing the game, which means more than likely you won't become a member of the FGC. It takes a special kind of stubborn masochist to even reach an average skill level.
Just like both of us, brother. Just like both of us, because we are both definitely stubborn masochists, that's for sure.
So if I'm a stubborn masochist just to reach an intermediate level, imagine what kind of masochist you might have to be to reach a more competent level. Like my friend Setsi, who plays Tekken competitively. If you haven't already, go and give her a follow over on Twitch. She's a really great person. But getting back to my main point, special style is only intended to be training wheels. It's there to get newcomers acclimatized to all of the systems in Tekken 8 and give them an idea of what their character is capable of. On a very casual level, that's great. It's especially good if you're trying to play matches casually while drinking with friends. But that's the thing, there's only so far Special Style will take you before you run across someone who actually knows the game inside and out. They will be able to absolutely massacre you when the time comes. With that in mind, in casual matches, it's more than fine. In fact, I'd encourage its usage there. I have a few friends who have such a small experience with fighting games that they'd basically require Special Style, and I'm happy for them that it's an option, and I would not begrudge them for using it in matches against me. However, I don't tolerate it when someone actually knows what the fuck they're doing in a fighter, since Special Style was not intended for them, so while you won't have an unfair advantage per se using Special Style in Ranked, it should still be avoided since that's the domain of more serious players, though Tekken 8 does have a problem with its rank system at present. If my video on why Tekken 8 needs a reputation system is out by the time this one releases, a card will be popping up now. If not, I'll add one when that video comes out, but either way, Tekken 8 is in a bit of a weird spot now, almost 2 months into its life cycle, when it comes to Ranked, and Bandai-Namco is going to need to fix it at some point for the health of the game. Removing Special Style from Ranked is just one of those things that has to happen for the good of the game. In the previous point, I covered how it's intended for just beginners. The next part builds off of that. Special Style really limits your potential with the game, since the game will decide for you based off context what move you'll do. It means you're really only controlling when to use Heat Engage or Heat Smash, and Rage Arts plus your movement, which at a casual level is fine. However, when it comes to actual competitive matches, your potential is going to be limited, as you won't know what move to use and when, which is where traditional inputs come into play. Yes, some of them are difficult to execute, but at least it isn't like it was in the arcade era where you had things like fucking pretzel inputs. And before someone says anything, no, I was not an arcade rat. In fact, I came into fighting games quite late. But these crazy inputs and 360 ones are part of why I can't get on with grapplers. They tend to have a lot of half circle and full circle inputs, plus more complex ones like the pretzel inputs if you're playing an SNK fighting game. I may love SNK in most terms of 2D fighting games, but Jesus Christ, someone had to be drunk off their ass to think pretzel inputs were a good idea. But here's the thing, Special Style isn't exactly like modern controls in Street Fighter 6, where you actually are deciding what moves come out to some extent, so this vastly limits your control over the character, which greatly decreases your potential with one. Now, I know most of us won't be competing at EVO, but relying entirely on Special Style kind of removes one of the joys of fighting games. That being constantly learning, it gets back to that special kind of masochism found in FGC players. We're all perpetual students if we take these games competitively in any kind of meaningful way, which I've noticed extends not to just fighting games, but the gamer as a whole. Most of the people I know into fighting games tend to be of an intellectual bend, and they always want to learn something. Now, that doesn't just apply to academics, but any hobbies they may have outside of gaming and other such activities. They always want to learn, they always want to improve, which is a great thing when you think of it this way. Fighting games can actually expose you to different virtues, lifelong learning, determination, sportsmanship, and many others. If you'd like a video on the virtues fighting games can teach you, let me know in the comments section. A lot of FGC members debate if fighting games should even include simplified controls. I'm working on a video on that topic, so if that interests you, consider hitting the subscribe button. I often make video essays like this one about fighting games and other various topics in the gaming industry, so if these interest you, subscribing really helps the channel out. I personally feel simple controls are a good idea, but they should always come with some trade-offs. I also feel like traditional input should remain a thing in all fighting games and offer some kind of benefit. That way the skill divide will become all the more apparent. Even though simple controls and auto combos were made to initially close the gap between newer players and more advanced ones, it has actually widened said gap, which is a double-edged sword. In some cases, auto combos are more beneficial. Taking the King of Fighters 15 for example, some characters will have the properties of their move changed based off if it was done with a traditional input or done via an auto combo, which adds a layer of depth to the system. If you like the sound of that video, hit the like button on this one, or hit it if you just liked the video so far. It's clear Tekken 8 will evolve over its lifetime. It has been rumored the game will last for 10 years. We'll just have to wait and see how it changes over the next decade. Thanks go out to my current channel members, R. Campbell and Danny Boy. If you'd like to help the channel further, you can do so by clicking the join button or the link in the description. Want more of my fighting game content? Then check out my podcast on what the future of fighting games looks like with Mugen Lord, or check out the video YouTube thinks you'll like. Until next time, keep blazing that trail.